strategy room. Eagle stood in the strategy room, the dim light illuminating a detailed map of the headquarters of the ruthless Jaguar gang. Around him were Silverback and the members of the 10 Great Assassins, all listening attentively. On the table, Eagle placed a sharp saber and a lot of sharp knives, the weapons that Silverback would use in this mission. Eagle spoke up, his voice deep and firm. They are certainly prepared. We no longer have the element of surprise like before. But we can still win thanks to Silverback's strength and the coordination of the 10 Great Assassins. He paused, his eyes scanning every face in the room, then continued. Silverback, you will be the main force in this battle. This saber will be your primary weapon, and the sharp knives will assist in remote attacks or when necessary. Eagle looked deep into Silverback's eyes, feeling the determination and readiness in him. Your mission is to destroy the strongest members of the ruthless Jaguar, including Jury. Don't give them a chance to counterattack. He turned to the other members of the 10 Great Assassins, continuing the division of tasks. Falcon and Jackal, you will attack from the east. Lionheart and Bearclaw, you will attack from the north. Tigerclaw and Hawkeye will attack from the west. We will divide into 3 attack groups, applying pressure from many sides at the same time. Eagle pointed to key points on the map where the ruthless Jaguar gang could set traps or hide. We must be careful because they are certainly well prepared. Remember that our strength lies not only in physical power, but also in intelligence and strategy. He stopped again, feeling the tension in the air. We have been through many battles, and we know how to win. Remember, our coordination and determination will bring us success. It all depends on the cooperation of each person. Silverback looked at the saber and sharp knives, then looked up at Eagle. I understand. We won't give them a chance to counterattack. We will win. Eagle nodded, his eyes sparkling with confidence. Yes, we will win. Let's prepare carefully and depart before dark. Tonight, we will write a new page of history for the 10 Great Assassins. The meeting ended, and each member of the 10 Great Assassins left the room determined and ready for the upcoming battle. Eagle knew that this battle would be difficult, but he believed in the strength and abilities of his team. With Silverback as their leader, they would overcome all challenges and defeat the ruthless Jaguar. The unfamiliar familiarity. Silverback stood in the training room, his eyes focused on the sharp saber in his hand. The dim light shone on the blade, reflecting a cold light. Uncertainty invaded his mind as he wondered if he really knew how to use this weapon. He decided to experiment, instinctively swinging his sword. Suddenly, swords as fast as a storm appeared, each line strong and precise. Silverback felt strength and control in every move, as if he had been practicing for a long time. His proficiency and dexterity with the sword were astonishing. Not stopping there, he held sharp knives in his hands and threw them towards the target in front of him. The knives flew at incredible speed, hitting exactly the spots he aimed for. It seemed he was an expert in saber play and knife throwing. Silverback stopped and looked at his hands, filled with wonder. He couldn't understand how Eagle knew that he could use this saber and knives so well. This feeling was not only one of surprise, but also of doubt about his own identity. He sat down, looking at the saber and knives on the table, full of thought. Who am I? He wondered. Why do I have this ability? Why do I feel like I've been familiar with these weapons for so long? Silverback recalled the meeting with Eagle, his confident words about Silverback being the main force in the upcoming mission. Eagle always knew everything, always had detailed plans and perfect strategies. But how did he know about this special ability of Silverback? The revelation, Silverback entered Eagle's room, filled with anxiety and determination. He looked straight at his leader, his eyes glowing with curiosity and the desire to know more about himself. Boss, can you tell me who I am? Silverback asked, his voice filled with seriousness and sincerity. Eagle raised his head from the desk, his eyes sharp but somewhat pensive. He sighed and nodded slowly. Okay, I'll let you know. Eagle stood up, walked closer to Silverback, and began to tell the story. Your real name is Mali. Your father was Boyce, an extremely strong and honorable man. You are his only son. Unfortunately, your father had a conflict with the hyenas. They came to your house and killed your father. Silverback felt his heart clench as he heard these words. Even though he didn't remember the past clearly, he still felt the pain and loss. Eagle continued, "When I arrived and killed a few hyenas, I only had time to save you. Before he died, your father asked me to take care of you. The martial arts you possess were taught by me. You grew up with the idea of avenging your father. You killed more than 3 hyenas, but this only caused the hyenas to hunt you down. I killed many hyenas and saved you again. However, a bullet hit your head and you lost your memory from there." Silverback was speechless, pieces of the past gradually appearing more clearly in his mind. He felt a mixture of sadness, indignation, and gratitude towards Eagle. "So I lost my memory from then on, and you saved me." Eagle nodded, his eyes still serious and sincere. "That's right, Molly. I did everything I could to care for and train you. You have become a strong warrior, and I believe you will continue to live for a greater purpose." Silverback bowed his head, feeling overwhelmed with emotion. He knew that no matter how painful his past was, he must continue to fight. He must avenge his father and protect those he loves. "Boss, I will not disappoint you," Silverback said, his voice firm and determined. Eagle placed a hand on Silverback's shoulder, his eyes shining with pride. "I know you won't disappoint me, Molly. Get ready for the mission ahead." Silverback nodded, filled with determination and commitment. He left Eagle's room, knowing that he had found a part of his identity. And with this truth, he was ready to face any challenge that awaited. The trap of ruthless jaguars. The 10 great assassins and Silverback moved in the darkness, approaching the headquarters of the ruthless jaguar gang. The whole group kept absolutely silent, each step light but determined. As they approached, they noticed that there were very few people guarding it, creating suspicion in everyone's hearts. "This isn't right," Silverback whispered, his sharp eyes surveying his surroundings. "We need to be careful." Eagle had planned carefully, dividing each person in the group to attack from different directions. They approached the headquarters from 4 directions: Jackal and Falcon from the east, Lionheart and Bearclaw from the north, Tigerclaw and Hawkeye from the west, and Silverback from the south. They approached Jackal and Falcon moved quickly and quietly through each wall, checking every hidden corner. "No one," Jackal whispered. "It looks like the headquarters is abandoned." Lionheart and Bearclaw also had a similar situation. They moved deeper, eyes alert and prepared for any situation. "Something's wrong," Lionheart told Bearclaw. "We must continue to be vigilant." Tigerclaw and Hawkeye used chains to open the way, checking each room, but still found no trace of life. "We may be falling into a trap," Hawkeye warned. "Be careful." Silverback led from the south, entering the center of the headquarters. When the group met at the center, they realized that not a single person was in sight. "We were tricked," Jackal said, his eyes wary. "We need to retreat now." Eagle had taught them never to believe in anything too easy. Silverback ordered, "Everyone, check again and prepare to retreat if necessary." But when they turned around to check, a loud explosion rang out, causing the ground to shake. The surrounding walls began to collapse, sending smoke and debris flying. That was the trap that the ruthless jaguars had set. "Withdraw," Silverback shouted, but it was too late. The walls began to collapse, striped surrounding the group. Despite being trapped in chaos, Silverback and the 10 great assassins remained calm. They coordinated smoothly, using their fighting skills to break down the fallen walls and find a way out. But clearly, they had walked into a carefully calculated trap of the enemy. The battle within the ruins. Amidst the crumbling walls and falling debris, Silverback took command, his voice steady and authoritative. "Falcon, Jackal, cover the east exit. Lionheart, Bearclaw, take the north. Tigerclaw and Hawkeye, secure the west. I'll handle the south. Move now." The 10 great assassins sprang into action, their movements precise and coordinated despite the chaos. Silverback's sharp eyes scanned the area, searching for any sign of the enemy amidst the dust and rubble. Jackal and Falcon reached the eastern side, only to find it blocked by debris. "We're sealed off," Falcon reported, his voice strained. "Keep looking for a way out," Silverback commanded. "Everyone stay focused." Lionheart and Bearclaw encountered similar obstacles to the north. "This place is a death trap," Bearclaw growled, his frustration evident. "We'll find a way," Lionheart reassured him. "We always do." Tigerclaw and Hawkeye used their chains to clear debris and search for exits, but progress was slow. It's like they planned every detail, Hawkeye muttered. The ambush. Just as the group began to regroup, a sudden volley of arrows rained down from above. Ambush! Silverback shouted, diving for cover. The arrows from crossbows were followed by a group of ruthless jaguar fighters, emerging from hidden passages within the collapsing building. Silverback sprang to his feet, his saber flashing in the dim light. He engaged the attackers with a series of swift, lethal strikes. The rest of the 10 great assassins joined the fray, their weapons creating a deadly symphony of steel. Jackal and Falcon fought side by side, their movements synchronized. Jackal's iron cards flew with deadly accuracy, while Falcon's arrows found their marks even in the chaos. Lionheart and Bearclaw, despite the earlier frustration, fought with a ferocity born of determination. Lionheart's dual sabers danced through the air, cutting down any foe who dared approach, while Bearclaw's spear swept wide arcs, keeping the enemies at bay. Tigerclaw and Hawkeye, their chains whirling, created a perimeter of protection. They struck with precision, taking down any enemy who ventured too close. Despite the overwhelming numbers, the 10 great assassins held their ground, their skills and training evident in every move. But the ruthless jaguar fighters were relentless, and the battle showed no sign of abating. Unity under fire. Meanwhile, Silverback stood in the center, using the saber and sharp knives given to him by Eagle to block and throw back the enemy's arrows. He moved with incredible speed and precision, each saber swing and knife throw hitting its target. The spirit of the 10 great assassins was not panicked. They kept their will, knowing that unity was the key to surviving this ambush. "We must not give up," Lionheart said, his eyes steady. "We will fight to the end." Silverback, with determination, ordered, "All hold positions and counterattack. We will not let the enemy easily defeat us." The members of the 10 great assassins quickly obeyed orders, coordinating smoothly in each movement. They knew that they had to unite and fight together to escape this ambush. The counterattack begins. Silverback, with an unyielding spirit, led the counterattack. He chanted, "We are the 10 great assassins, we never fail." His words inspired everyone, making them even more determined. They defended and counterattacked with all their strength and skill, determined to break the ambush and survive. In the rain of arrows and chaos, Silverback and the 10 great assassins not only maintained their solidarity, but also showed a resilient fighting spirit, determined not to let the enemy defeat them easily. This battle will be a great challenge, but they know they can overcome it, as long as they fight together. The strategy. Silverback scanned the battlefield, assessing the situation. The ruthless jaguar gang had surrounded them, their archers hidden in strategic positions. "We need to neutralize their archers first," Silverback called out, his voice cutting through the chaos. Falcon, the group's expert marksman, nodded in agreement. "I'll take care of them," he said, drawing his bow and nocking an arrow. Silverback nodded. "Jackal, support Falcon. The rest of you, focus on holding the line and protecting our flanks." Falcon moved quickly, finding cover behind a fallen pillar. He peered through the gaps in the debris, spotting the glint of an archer's bow in the distance. With practiced precision, Falcon released his arrow, the projectile whistling through the air and striking the archer squarely in the chest. Jackal, meanwhile, used his iron cards to disable the archers who were further away, targeting their limbs to disarm them. His throws were quick and deadly, each card finding its mark with unerring accuracy. Holding the line, Lionheart and Bearclaw stood side by side, their weapons ready. Lionheart's dual sabers flashed in the dim light, cutting down any enemy who dared approach. Bearclaw's spear swept wide arcs, creating a barrier that no one could penetrate. "We can't let them break through," Lionheart growled, his eyes fierce with determination. "We won't," Bearclaw replied, his voice steady. "We'll hold this line no matter what." Tigerclaw and Hawkeye moved with fluid grace, their chains creating a deadly perimeter. They coordinated their movements perfectly, striking down any enemy who came too close. "We need to keep moving," Tigerclaw said, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Hawkeye nodded, his chain whistling through the air. "Stay focused. We'll get through this." The breakout. Suddenly, amid the resounding explosion and the rain of arrows, a loud scream rang out, tearing through the chaos. "Silverback! Silverback! Do you hear me?" Silverback looked up, his eyes as sharp as razors, focusing on the source of the scream. The voice continued, full of hatred and determination. Today, you and the 10 great assassins will not escape from here. This place will be your grave. For Jura. Silverback recognized that voice. That's Jura's younger brother. His eyes grew tenser, but there was no sign of panic. 10 great assassins, prepare for a breakthrough. We will not die here. Silverback commanded, his voice strong and fierce. Renewed strength. Lionheart and Bearclaw, tired as they were, stood up with renewed strength and determination. They knew that they had to coordinate well to escape this ambush. Falcon and Jackal continued to fire back, reducing the number of incoming arrows. Tigerclaw and Hawkeye still used chains to form a temporary protective layer, shielding their teammates. Silverback, with his superhuman strength and swordsmanship skills, led the breakout. He rushed forward, using his saber and sharp knives to block and break the enemy's arrows. His saber was lightning fast, each strike having devastating power. We need to find a way out, Jackal shouted, his eyes scanning the area quickly for an opportunity. Meanwhile, Falcon jumped onto a nearby wall to get a better view. This way, I see a passage. Falcon pointed towards a narrow alley leading away from the headquarters. We must move quickly, Silverback ordered. All move with Falcon. I will cover the rear. The breakout begins. The 10 great assassins immediately obeyed the order. One by one, they moved quickly towards the alley. Silverback stood back, using his saber and sharp knives to protect his comrades. The arrows continued to fly, but with Silverback's strong defense, they gradually got closer to the exit. The enemy continues to shoot arrows, Bearclaw shouted, but showed no signs of fear. Silverback, with unyielding strength and determination, shouted loudly, "We will not be taken down so easily. Keep moving." Finally, after a fierce battle, the 10 great assassins reached the exit. They moved quickly through the narrow alley, away from the ambush area of Jury and the ruthless Jaguar gang. Temporary relief. Once safe, Silverback turned back to look at the headquarters, his eyes filled with anger and determination. We got out of here, but this war is not over yet. We will return, and next time, we won't be so easily ambushed. The 10 great assassins stood beside him, each breathing a sigh of relief, but still maintaining their fighting spirit. They knew that this battle was only the beginning, and greater challenges lay ahead. The reckoning. After returning to headquarters, the 10 great assassins and Silverback entered the meeting room, where Eagle was waiting. The atmosphere in the room was heavy, all eyes focused on Silverback. He stepped forward with an expression full of responsibility and determination, and began to narrate everything that had happened. "Eagle, I must take responsibility for leading the entire group into the trap of the ruthless Jaguar gang," Silverback said, his voice low and sincere. "It was my mistake not to notice the abnormality in their guarding and preparation situation." Eagle listened, his face pensive and thoughtful. After Silverback finished, Eagle sighed, but not out of anger or blame. He walked up, put his hand on Silverback's shoulder, his eyes filled with sympathy and responsibility. "Silverback, this is not your fault alone," Eagle said, his voice calm but authoritative. "I also have a large part of responsibility in this. I was too disdainful of the enemy and did not plan in detail. This has put all of you in a dangerous situation." Everyone in the 10 great assassins remained silent, looking at Eagle with eyes of respect and admiration. They knew that his words were not simply responsibility, but also the understanding and courage of a leader. "None of you is responsible alone," Eagle continued. "We are a team, and every success or failure is shared. We will learn from this mistake and become stronger. You fought bravely and preserved your lives. That is the most important thing." Silverback nodded, sensing the sincerity in Eagle's words. "We will always be ready to fight, no matter what the situation is. We have confidence in your leadership." Eagle looked around the room, his eyes steady and determined. "We will not let this mistake repeat. I promise to plan more carefully in the next attacks. The 10 great assassins and you, Silverback, are my strongest warriors. We will win." The members of the 10 great assassins nodded in unison, feeling the determination and support from their leader.